What's up, everyone? Mark Lobliner, TigerFitness.com, alongside my colleague
Bryce Biel, the Director of Performance at Legacy at Carbon.
Man, good to see you guys. So we're in between stuff. So this morning we had a great session over at Page High School. Ran the hell out of the kids. A kid showed up 5 seconds late, so they had 10-yard gassers. I thought gassers were only supposed to be the length of like the width of the field. You didn't just go the length. You went the length.
We did the
plus
110s.
the end zone.
Yeah, we did the 110s.
I don't think I've ever seen it done that way as a warm up. And then they had to do their stuff.
Well, I mean, it's not the best thing to do,
but mentally, right? Accountability.
Yes. And that's the whole reason we instituted essentially a team draft or team of groups where basically we're trying to get them to be more accountable, become better teammates, have, responsibility or tasks at hand. Also technical. So if you think about being tactical, maneuvering with skill, really anything along those lines for, we'll say, team camaraderie, team development, team culture, as many people would say it. So it was new. It's been invested in by the group leaders, and now it's kind of to hold people accountable for things that we control. I don't want to run 110s. You don't have to.
It's team building. It's accountability. Yes. It's more mental. And
I know and people will say, well, 110s isn't football specific, or like you should just do that. Well, here's the thing. Everything else we do is football. I'll say related.
Yeah.
Now that doesn't mean we're going through a variety of things. Everything we do is 3 to 5 seconds, or I'll say 3 to 8 seconds. So if you're an avid football fan or you're a strength coach, you can go on any Instagram, really probably in college football, and see specific conditioning geared towards the play of football.
Yes.
Now there's 100 ways to do it. And we're in step 1. Reminder, these kids are in high school and they're being exposed to college level thought processes and training. So we're going through, today was 3 to 5 seconds for everything. We wanted to get at least 50 reps total today. Today is a lower day for them. And then we have 2 weeks off, and then we'll come back in July where we want to get up towards 90 different movements in an hour period.
Yeah. And so, by the way, if you want to ask your question live, you need to have video. If you're on the chat on YouTube, you can actually just go down there, click that StreamYard link, and we'll have you live on here. We'll bring you on the show, and you can ask your questions and discuss and debate whatever you guys want to do. It's a new thing I'm trying out. So just click on that link. It'll add you down below, and hopefully we could let you in. So that's what we're doing today. So if you are on YouTube, you want to join us, please feel free to call in. Please feel free to be a part of this show, this podcast. We want to discuss things with you. But if you look at training and coaching, building a team. So a lot of what we do at Legacy is we look at it like Legacy is an all-encompassing umbrella. Oh, yeah. It's an all-encompassing umbrella above the team. So our kids who go to Legacy, they might be trying to kill each other on a Friday night, given Friday. They want to hurt each other. And we want that. We want that competitive spirit. But when they're in that gym, they're pushing each other to become better. We want that competition. We want to see the best athletes. We want to see the non-best athletes level up to the best athletes. So I think when you're looking at training, Legacy, we promote this team atmosphere, even though we're not the team they're on. You might have Brentwood and Ravenwood, for example. We got those kids training together. If you're from this area, the Battle of the Woods, dude, this is Brentwood. Kids don't normally get arrested. Kids get arrested for vandalism during that game, right? They get arrested for vandalism. These people, they take that rivalry seriously. Legacy is neutral zone. That's where everybody's there to make everybody better. And it's so special to watch the bonds these kids have. This was the special moment. We had 2 of our kids were up for Football Player of the Year in the area.
Yep.
2 of them. And they were legit happy for each other, regardless of if they won. Obviously, they're trying to win, but we have that like team spirit. But on, multiple days a week, we go to these high schools we get to build culture on top of their culture. And our job is not just to build the athlete, but it's to build the team.
And it sounds weird, but like I can't remember what phrase it comes from, but when you suffer together, it's easier to relate to each other, something along those lines.
Yes.
But that's the big thing is, we're doing specific things, but at the same time, my job, our job is to push kids. And I'll say people inside the industry don't want to push. Like greatness comes from literally being able to suffer and endure adversity and be able to go through things that suck and just be able to actually continue to push. And now, is it always like that? No. And I guarantee you someone's going to ask that question. Well, it's not always great to push kids all the time. The matter of the fact, it is.
They need it. They need to be
that's
pushed.
The only way we grow, right? And like we talked about this on your podcast. What day is that? Tuesday?
Yeah, one of those days.
If whether or not they play sports, it doesn't matter to me. If we're building someone to be a, we'll say financial advisor, a CEO of a Inc. 500 company, president, a lawyer, whatever it is, they're going to have to go through a lot of adversity. And if we can start to do that now and teach kids how to work, we'll win a lot more things than we actually think.
Absolutely. And, it just comes down to building the kid. Now, this isn't bodybuilding. We're not talking about RIR. Like we might on a lift say, hey, go until you right up to failure, right? Don't go beyond failure. Yeah. Sometimes like we're doing some work, like we need athletes to know how to push beyond failure because most of these athletes, including ourselves, we don't truly know what failure is until we surpass that failure. It's a matter of meeting those thresholds and pushing beyond it. So I understand the hypertrophy data, and we use a lot of that data in our programming. But when you're looking at this and you look at these strength experts, such and such, when you're looking at developing athletes, it's different because you're not just developing the body, you're developing the mind, you're developing you're developing their cardiovascular. Like bodybuilders don't care about cardiorespiratory fitness, and they don't have to push their muscles on the field. Fourth quarter is a bitch. Like you get into the fourth quarter, everything hurts. And you got some guys, the studs are playing both ways.
Yes.
They're not getting rest. They're playing kickoff return. They're playing offense. They're playing defense. We need to make it so in the fourth quarter, they're operating at damn near 100% of their capacity because their team relies on that. And also we need to teach them to be able to operate when tired.
Yeah, it's resiliency.
Yeah, so we will do skill training while they're fatigued.
Yes.
Because you have to catch a ball when you're fatigued in the fourth quarter.
And that's kind of going towards it. Like, and I'll give Mike Nichols from Acceleration, who does this phenomenally. There's a drill, and you can look it up if you want. Basically, you're walking through a route, right? You have a DB and receiver. They're in man technique, and it's a constraint, right? If we're walking through a route and I'm on the wrong side of really where I want to be just because we're walking through it, and I have to run a slant, I'm on the outside compared to where I want to be, and then do it full speed, like through your walking steps. Like there's constraint levels to everything, whether it is a ball, whether it is speed, whether it is, if there's a QB involved, if there's you're off or you're on man technique, like a whole bunch of different things for DBs and receivers. And we're getting to those things and getting kids to realize when you're training, it's not like, yes, we focus on lifting. Yes, we focus on power and speed, but we do have to remember football is a collision sport. And there are aspects and a variety of different ways that collision happens and contact happens. So preparing kids to have contact, whether it is, as dumb as it sounds, hand grappling, you can only grapple the shoulders, anything like that. And then going towards the more skill specific side of things, where you're doing the walking routes and then going full speed, because at the end of the day, whether it's contact or anything like that, you still have to be able to do that at full speed, even if you get knocked off. And then you have to be able to repeat that pattern a variety of times consistently across the board for 60 minutes or 48 minutes? 12 minutes or 15-minute quarters. And that's the biggest thing.
I think they're 12 in high school.
I can't remember.
I know Preston's are 10.
And
I think it's 12 high school. Correct me if I'm wrong. I forgot. It's been a while. Season starts though. But yeah, I mean, coaching in a team setting is is the same but different. But either way, we're building culture. Without culture, without a higher purpose, you're not going to train to the best of your abilities. And building the team is everything. So that's why we do stuff like that. But we do have one question. And I know we just threw this in the middle of nowhere. This wasn't announced. You're not expecting it. So we don't expect that big of a turnout. We just want to kind of answer any questions people have, and maybe we could give some advice as we go along. This is from Nanny Rezulbagu. Rezulbagu? Mark, I've been training more than 10 years. I eat clean. I also stay in good shape, but I have a problem with chest fat. I'm lean everywhere except chest. A whole lot of fat. It doesn't look good. So you would say if it was gyno. I doubt it's gyno, which is, male breast tissue. You're natural, which you could have got it during puberty. There's a concurrent increase in estrogen when your testosterone rises due to puberty. Also, if you were ever overweight in your youth, that does, create more of an estrogen problem. It's a hormonal issue. But looking at it like that, you're just not lean enough. I heard I eat clean. I don't know what that means, because you can eat one man's definition of clean is another man's definition of dirty. So some people think that fruits are dirty because they refill your liver glycogen. Like, I don't know what that means. What I really need to know is, are you eating at a caloric deficit, and are you eating towards your goals? What I'm seeing is your body just tends to hold fat in your chest, which means that you're holding fat. So your body just needs to lose more fat. So my advice to you is to get leaner. I mean, that's it. Like for a lot of dudes, that's their stomach. The question I always get is, oh man, I can't lose weight from my stomach. I'm like, well, you can, you're just not lean enough. And that's be the last to go. It's based on where your body's alpha and beta receptors are, all this jargon, whatever. We're not getting too intricate into it, too scientific, but at the end of the day, you're too fat. And that's why you have chest fat. And going on to the next one, you said your macros. So those mean nothing, because I don't know what hypocaloric is for you. Couple ways to go about it. One is to hire a coach. I offer coaching at marklobleiner.com. Another is to experiment on yourself and do the dieting. I have a free diet book. It's at dropfactorbook.com. That's dropfactorbook.com. I see in your picture you're pretty lean. I'm not sure what it is. Could be you might just be not lean enough. Because I mean, if you look at 250 grams of protein, it's great that your protein is the cornerstone of your diet. But that right there is 1,000 calories. And then you add the 400 carbohydrate, the 100 carbohydrate. Okay, so you're at 1,400, 30 fat, 3 times 9 is 20. So, I mean, you're not eating a lot of food. Maybe you need a diet break. There's so many ways to dissect this. But generally speaking, if you're holding fat in any given area, it's not because you inherently have a mean chest or your chest doesn't like you.
Yeah.
It's just because you're holding fat. And that just has to be where your body has to hold fat. So you can either deal with the fact that your body stores fat in that area if you're comfortable where you're lean at. But if you want for that to go away, we need to make sure is it a gyno issue as well? Because gyno is a thing. But even if people with gyno, when they get lean, they're lean and they just have boobs. Like, it's like, you know what I mean? Like, They just have the big nipple glandular fat. So I would guess that you're just not lean enough, and it would be a diet thing. And maybe it's a matter of a diet break. Maybe it's a matter of taking a reverse diet for a little bit, reamping that metabolism, because your metabolism, you don't damage your metabolism. It just adapts. It's not metabolic damage. It's metabolic adaptation, because your body's meant to survive. So when you're not eating a lot, you're not eating a lot. But here's another thing, like your calories might be lower than you think they are. A lot of people think because we do everything based on a 2,000 calorie diet in the United States of America, that a 2,000 calories is low. So depending on how active you are, like if you sit in an office, if you sit at a desk all day and you don't move much, your maintenance might be 1,300. It might be 1,200. Females do this a lot. They're like, I barely eat. I'm like, you're right. But that Starbucks you have for breakfast is like 700 calories. And we see that with athletes all the time, where they'll waste their calories, or they'll get all their calories from like junk. But you're doing it right by having a protein intensive diet. But for specific goals and everything, you do need to, you're active. So I'm guessing metabolic adaptation. So Nanny, if you want to join on, you can click that link, turn your camera on, and we could talk about it. Or you're at 20,000 steps is insane. That's a lot of steps. I mean, we do that when we, like some days we'll coach. I think I'm already at like 11,000 just from walking the field today.
I'm at 13,500, I think.
13?
Yeah.
Shit. So, I mean, so at the end of the day, man, it has to do with you personally. But again, the links are in the YouTube chat and the Facebook chat. So feel free, guys. If you want to join in. We'd love to have you. When it comes to back training, our rows really only for your upper back. We do a decent job at hitting your lats. Seems like a pull up and pull downs are best for lats, and all variations of rows with your elbows flared are best for your rhomboids and upper back. Do you want to cover some of that, Bryce?
Yeah, I'm reading it all over again because
there's a lot.
Yeah. Rows really for your only upper back. I mean,
they hit your lats.
I mean, yeah, they'll hit your lats. I mean, my thing is do a decent job of hitting your lats. Yes, they absolutely do. Pull ups and pull downs for lats. Here's the thing. Just row. Let's be honest. Like, no one does enough back. Everyone wants to do the easy lat pull down machine, right? When you do it, like you can go pen lay rows are probably, I'd say pen lay and barbell rows, correct me if I'm wrong, are probably one of the best ways to hit majority of things in your back, right?
Yeah.
They're hitting a lot of different, I'll say, aspects muscular wise.
Correct.
So and you're going to get a compound lift out of that compared to a lat pull down, which is an accessory. I mean, it's an accessory in my book. And that obviously you can judge that however you want, but pull-ups are great. I think pull-ups are over and underused.
Yeah, we use them a lot.
I absolutely do. But I'll do chin-ups probably before I do pull-ups just because of how many pen lay rows or barbell rows we actually do throughout the week, or overhand grip variations. All variations row with your elbows flared are best for your rhomboids and upper back. I mean, there's
elbows flared. I think you're recruiting you're recruiting a lot of rear delt there. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, we can dissect a lot. We could dissect a lot of like which hits more, which hits this, which hits that. At the end of the day, you want a well-rounded back program. So I like to do a vertical for every horizontal. That's how I do it. So like, let's say I'm training at my gym. Let's say we're doing machines. It's pretty simple. You start with a horizontal, you move on to a vertical. And there's different machines, right? You got the hammer strength pull down. You got the lat pull down cable. You got the different variation machines. Now we're dealing with athletes. A lot of things we could do we could do inverted rows. We could do ring rows. We could do pull-ups. The
Meadows row.
We could do Meadows rows. We could do, Dorian DY rows. We could do Pendlay rows. We could do barbell rows. We could do single arm rows. and I mean, row your damn boat. We can row all day long. And the bottom line is what I suggest.
Intensity.
Pick 1 to 2 variations, and just go and just get it done. And depending on your goals, right? Like we're going to program differently for athletes because we're only spending 30 to 35 minutes out of an hour session doing resistance training. Other than that, we're working in bounding, we're working in movement, we're working in, different kind of cuts. I mean, you don't have to worry about that if you're dealing with hypertrophy. So my opinion is just train your back. Don't worry about the specificities. Train it through both vertical and horizontal plane. But at the end of the day, getting to the root of it, rows pretty much work everything. But if you really want to focus on lat, you also got, there's so many, and single arm rows are lat intensive. It's so many things.
It was a loaded question. It's a really good question because a lot of people do really mess up just the execution of the variety of rows that are done.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing is hammer down your technique. Like there are movements where your elbows can flare. You are correct. There's more movements where your elbows are, tighter than that. And if you can hammer down the variety of styles and just pick, like Mark said, 1 to 2 things, maybe it's 1 to 2 machines, 1 horizontal, 1 vertical, and then 1 more horizontal movement with dumbbells, and then use a cable machine for your vertical. I think that'll help you a lot more.
Yeah, hopefully that'll help you. Next one, and then So could you teach your high school athletes about basic nutrition? If so, do you have a rough estimate how much you take in a day before and hour after they train? So we don't do that. Here's why: they're kids. So what we do is we have basic guidelines. So the last thing you want to do is induce orthorexia in a kid. Now, if you have a kid who's overweight, it's pretty simple. You tell them to stop eating junk food And the way we train, they're burning so many calories. 99.99% of the time, they're going to lose weight and they're going to lose it well. Or you have a guy like our guy Eric, who's just he's actually going to announce the 24th or the 26th where he's going to college.
I think 24th.
Yeah, so he came to us. He was 208. Wanted to get him in the 250 plus range. I think he's 258 now.
Yeah, 258.
And of course, he's faster, stronger. And for him, it's like, what are you eating? Okay, are you gaining? Okay, eat more. So for some kids, it's just about, hey, make sure you get your protein. I do have a whole presentation. I've given that presentation to different wrestling clubs. I've given it similar presentation. I adjust some things based on the athletes. I was at a Uberzadi certification class once. I gave it to them, part of their workshop. I was a speaker. I've given it to Cleveland Wrestling, which is the number one wrestling program in the country, in the state, one of the best, third in the country now. So when I give that presentation, it's basic guidelines. And with kids, I do not believe in measuring food. I do not believe in weighing food. I do not believe in any of that. I believe kids should make wise food choices. They should be able to go to In-N-Out Burger with their friends. Or if you're in the South, Sonic, whatever the kids eat. I believe you should be able to be loose a little bit. But the one thing they control is around nutrition. So what we'll do is we'll keep outright bars. So if they have nothing to eat, they just train hard. We give them that. We tell them to hydrate. And again, the problem is usually getting kids to eat enough.
Yeah.
So generally speaking, when they tell me what they ate, we'll have them write it down. And we're like, okay, see, I want you to raise that by 50%. Like 50%, I'm like, did you gain weight? No, 50%. And generally, if you tell them 50, they'll hit 10. Because the kids don't understand how much work it is to eat enough food.
Yes.
So I think that guidelines are the thing. I have never, ever put a child, and that means 0 to 18, on a controlled macronutrient diet plan. And one is because their energy expenditure is so variant. For example, on Sunday, they might go to the beach with their friends. On Monday, they might have training with us in the morning at the high school. And then at 3 p.m., they're back doing weights because they'll train twice a day. So they went from burning 500 calories to burning 5,000 calories. And I wouldn't doubt it. These kids are such metabolic beasts. They're large. These are 6'4", 260, 270-pound kids. They're burning calories just living, just existing. So when I look at nutrition for athletes, it's highly dependent on the athlete and it's highly dependent on the sport. But generally speaking,
it's just getting kids to eat.
Get enough. It's the hardest thing is getting them to eat. And the worst thing you could do is telling them what to eat. Because if they don't like it, it's okay. What do you like to eat? I like to eat hamburgers. Cool. A lot of protein in hamburgers.
Yeah. And I'd say, imagine, I have a 3-year-old home. He doesn't like everything. And it's the same thing with high school kids. They only like certain things. So getting kids to really hone in, I'll be honest, it's probably not the greatest decision. Just tell them to eat.
Yeah.
And it's you can give them ideas. Hey, eat more chicken.
Yeah.
Okay, done.
Yeah. And in college, even in college, they have a training table, but it's for most schools, it's general recommendations. You have your nutrition. They'll have good schools have nutritionists and they'll literally be like, okay, eat as much as you can. Eat as much as you can. Yeah. Or for the bigger linemen, okay, do 2 protein servings and 1 carbohydrate serving, whatever. That's all they do because training tables, if you notice, I've never seen a college training table with a food scale.
No,
and like my nephew, Jaden, his idea of what to eat at a training table is how much can I fit on 2 plates? And then he makes sure he finishes it because he's trying to, make some gains. So, and again, this is a kid training for 5 hours a day. You're looking at the elite athletes. Like he's a D1 athlete. High school kids, if they're looking at that, they need to start thinking like D1. That's why all of our training, like whether we're doing it at the high school, like we do college and pro level training at the high school level. Mm-hmm. And because they need to get used to it. Hell, my kids' 10-year-old football team last year, they were learning. I want to get them ready for that next level. We're not just running the power I. No, we're learning a bunch of different stunts. We're learning different things. We're learning different cuts, different routes. And if they mess up and we lose, who cares? You're 10. But when you go on to 9th grade and you already know how the system works and the linemen know how to pull and how to down block and all that good stuff and all these different cadences you have to do, That's what we're doing. So think of it, it's a developmental level, but we want our junior high kids to play like college students, our high school students to play like professionals, and our college students to play like Pro Bowl players.
Yes, and
that's what we try to do.
Took words out of my mouth.
We got to be better than everybody else.
Yes,
and to do that, we need to teach these kids stuff that we're not gonna. It's not baby. Like, look, if you're in this program, you'd be held to expectations. Like we talked about the 110s at the beginning of practice, like that. You're expected to be here on time. I don't care if you got a ride from your dad. I don't care if it's a good excuse. Okay, I get it. But at the end of the day, your team relies on you being there on time, and that's that. Well, that's a good 25 minutes. Yeah. I'm good. Hey guys, that was a fantastic Q&A. Appreciate you guys joining us. Legacy@carbon.com. Legacy@carbon.com. That's where you can find us. Also, if you have kids, if you know kids who want to come and spend a week with us, still time left in the summer. You come out, get some training, get a weekend. Or if you're in the Nashville, Tennessee, Franklin, Brentwood, Spring Hill area, we got you. We also do online programming as well.
Yep.
We do that. We have some world-class wrestlers on that program.
Yes, we do. Team USA.
Team USA. We're crushing it there. But anyway, for tigerfitness.com, Suzanne, from there, the entire site, including that ghost beverage that Bryce is drinking, not that exact one, but the same flavor, 10% off the entire site using coupon code CARDIO in honor of the 110s today. CARDIO, CARDIO, tigerfitness.com. And that will give you 10% off. Where can people find you?
Biel Bryce or Bryce Biel, either one, on Instagram and Twitter.
All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time. I'm leaving you with an ad for bands. We use a lot of bands.
Absolutely.
Everybody should have bands. And we have them at tigerfitness.com. Go in the search bar, type in resistance bands, and these will come up. Have a good day, guys. Thanks for joining us.
You leave town and you're like, how am I going to work out? What am I going to do? I can't go to the gym. I'm in a crappy hotel gym. What do I do? Well, we have these resistance bands at tigerfitness.com. We just got them back in. They're extremely affordable, under $50. So number one thing is there's 5 levels of resistance. It comes with this nifty bag to put it in. I take them with me wherever I go. If I'm on the road, I always have the bands with me, right? So it's got the super heavy one, the green one, down to the really light one, the yellow one, 5 levels of resistance. Now with these things, you can do everything with them. You can do arms, you can do chest, you can tie it onto something and do things like this. You can do anything you want. Some people even argue that they're more effective based on the strength curve than actual weights. I'm not one of those people. I love going to the gym. I love clanging and banging. I love the iron. But that doesn't mean that you can't use bands and enhance your program. Look, the beauty of these things is that it also provides a different stimulus. We use these, even though we're fully equipped at Legacy at Carbon, we have bands and all of our athletes use these either to superset or whatever it is. You could do simple things like band pull-aparts for your rear delts and shoulder integrity. These are amazing. Anyway, 5 different resistance levels. Available right now at tigerfitness.com. Comes with the carrying bag. Go get yours now. You won't regret it. And if you're ever on the road, if you're ever away from a gym, never have to miss a resistance.